100 years ago, not very far from where you're standing now, was a camp for training troops of the 36th Ulster Division. The camp lay in the grounds of Clandeboye estate, and here the men of the 36th prepared for war, digging lines of trenches as a practice for what lay ahead for them in France. For the 36th Ulster Division were to be at the front line of the Battle of the Somme on July the 1st, 1916. The photograph of troops digging a trench is part of a collection of images belonging to the Bleakley family, offering a unique insight into life at the Clandeboye camp in 1915 and 1916. Another unique image is this plan of the camp, drawn in 1915 and now housed at the Military Archives in Dublin. It shows the regimented lines of huts, shown as small red oblongs, set out along straight access roads. It was in many ways like many such training camps of World War I, a temporary feature in the landscape, yet so significant and important for those who were about to go to the front and see battle. The legacies of the training camp at Clandeboye are still there in the landscape for those who know where to look and how. An archaeologist at Queen's University Belfast, Heather Montgomery, has spent time searching for signs of the camp, and in her work she's found the concrete footings of the huts, crumbling away through the passage of time. Her work has allowed us to identify where today the camp once stood, marked out on this aerial photograph in red. The camp photographs in the Bleakley collection show camp life prior to the departure of the 36th Ulster Division to France. Lines of soldiers as regimented in their lines as the lines of huts of the camp within which they'd lived before leaving for France. The 36th Ulster Division had been formed in September 1914, and serving in it were men predominantly from Protestant communities, but Roman Catholics too served in the ranks. It was the opening of the Battle of the Somme that saw the 36th Ulster Division in action in one of the bloodiest campaigns of World War I. The battle itself continued through to 18th November 1916 and saw contributions from two infantry divisions from Ireland, the 16th Irish Division, who fought on the Somme in early September 1916 at Guillemont and Ginchy, and the 36th Ulster Division. The 36th were facing one of the most well-defended strongpoints of the German front line near Thiepval, just east of the River Ancre. This strongpoint was the Schwaben Redoubt, and between it and the trenches where the 36th waited before the battle was no man's land, a pockmarked landscape of shell holes and barbed wire. It was a highly fortified landscape, as shown by this historic map of the area produced by the British Army in June 1916 in preparation for the battle. It is marked secret because it showed not only the German positions and defences in red, but also those trenches occupied by the British in blue. This rare, large-scale trench map belongs to the Bodleian Library in Oxford and is one of many millions of such maps that were produced during World War I to help those on the front line to navigate the confusing, battle-scarred landscape of trenches, shell holes and barbed wire. Hidden away in Thiepval Wood, just to the west of Thiepval village with its chateau, were the lines of the British trenches, where the 36th Ulster Division awaited the first day of the Big Push, July 1st, 1916. The secret trench map shows their positions, as well as the names of some of the trenches, all within the area of Thiepval Wood. As well as using maps, the introduction of aerial photography in World War I was a major boon to the Allies in mapping the front line. This aerial photograph from the collections of Imperial War Museums shows the same area as the map of Thiepval village. The white lines zigzagging across the landscape are the German trenches, shown in red on the map. The trenches were clearly deep ones, for the chalk spoil is spread out on either side of the trenches, making the lines of the trenches stand out even more on the aerial photograph. On July the 1st, at just before 7:30 a.m, the ground assault began, as the 36th Ulster Division left the wood and their trenches and struck out across no man's land towards the Schwaben redoubt. "5,105 casualties were suffered by the 36th Ulster Division in this one attack. The division managed to reach the redoubts, but then by the end of the first day of the Battle of the Somme, they were forced back. This sector of the Somme front line proved a very difficult one for the British Army to break. Even by November 1916 and the end of the battle, the front line had been moved just a few miles from Thiepval. Yet over the intervening months, so many lives had been lost. Among the ruins of Thiepval, after the war, a tower was built to commemorate those from Ulster who fought and died at the Battle of the Somme. This is the Ulster Tower. It is an exact replica of Helen's Tower, which stands near here on the Clandeboye estate, within sight of the Clandeboye camp, where the men of the 36th Ulster Division had trained in 1915 and 1916. These two towers are a poignant and tangible link between Clandeboye and Thiepval, between here and there, connecting both past and present in this, the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme.